So, okay, let me explain. Oh god, I'm gonna have to edit out so much of this. The heart wants what it wants. Hey guys, it's Misty from the Book Rat, and it's time for book chat. Since Valentine's Day was this past weekend, it's, you know, the month of love. I thought a good topic for this month would be book boyfriends. Or girlfriends. Or little column A, little column B. Whatever floats your boat, tickles your fancy. All inclusive here. So most of you have probably heard the term book boyfriend / girlfriend. Just those characters in books that, yeah, you would date in a hot minute. Or you just want to crush on, you know? You just think of them longingly. So I always have a lot of these. It's kind of a running joke among my friends, actually, that I have many, many book boyfriends, no real boyfriends. And that doesn't bother me. They're better in books. I can put them back on the shelf when I'm done. So yeah, I have a lot kind of a book floozy, but I've tried to narrow it down to some of the absolute, like, best book boyfriends that, you know, were I married, I would leave my husband for. Oh, here we go! First up, I cannot start any discussion of book boyfriends without mentioning two, George Cooper and Gilbert Blythe. These two hold a special spot in my heart because they were my first. I read these books around the same time when I was probably 11 or 12, and it was the first time that I'd ever seriously crushed on a fictional character. I mean, in the movies, sure, I was a little bit obsessed with Kevin Costner when I was like 9 as a result of Robin Hood. So it's not like I hadn't crushed on people that had no bearing in my real life, but in reading fiction, that was the first time that I'd ever had characters come to life so much for me and make me want to doodle my name and their name on notebooks, you know? And I still do. I still hardcore love George Cooper so very much, and Gilbert Blythe is right there with him. I mean, I would be a polygamist. George, if you didn't know, is from the Song of the Lioness series by Tamara Pierce, aka the Alana books, and he was my awakening. Gilbert is from Anne of Green Gables, of course, and I just adore him, and he felt the most kind of realistically a boyfriend for, you know, a 12-year-old kid. Obviously in the first book. In the later books he's an adult and no. But, you know, in the first books he felt like an actual 11 or 12-year-old boy. You know, he was a pest and flirting meant pulling someone's braid, and it was just realistic, and I think I could probably transfer all of my real crush feelings from boys that I knew onto Gilbert, and it was safe and happy and I loved him. So those two still top of the pile. Followed closely behind, of course, and this surprises no one, by Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy. This was a little bit of a toss-up whether to go with Darcy or Captain Wentworth. Sometimes I actually like Persuasion more than Pride and Prejudice. I really go back and forth between the two, and I love Captain Wentworth, and I love how that romance develops, and of course there's the infamous letter. But when it comes down to it, I always, I think, will choose Darcy over Wentworth, and here's why. Things didn't need to go down the way they went down. A lot of the conflict in Persuasion is really a result of his pettiness and anger. Not that he doesn't have a right to be angry, but he basically spends a good part of the book punishing Anne, and you get why, but at the same time, the character trait I don't love. I kind of hold it against him a little bit. Now, some people are gonna say, but Darcy's a total ass, so how would you pick that over Wentworth's flaws? Darcy just needed someone to shake him out of being an ass. He needed someone to make him look at what he was doing. Wentworth I don't think ever got that, and I don't think he will get that with Anne, because as much as she grows, she is still fairly passive in the end, and I think that that petty streak will probably continue. If she pisses him off, he might freeze her out. Darcy, on the other hand, was just really self-absorbed and didn't realize what a tool he was being. And once he realizes, he works really hard to change that. He works to win Lizzie over even when he doesn't think that there's necessarily a chance, but he doesn't put pressure on her or anything like that. And I really like a dynamic character. I like someone, both in fiction and in real life, who's willing to recognize their mistakes and grow from it. So Darcy wins, plus he's dreamy, plus mega rich, right? So moving on from those, which were kind of the huge pieces of my childhood and teens, and as a result have probably ruined me for men. Now we get into the ones that I've read more recently and have just made an impression, and I want to cuddle them. First off, Jonah Griggs. Jonah mother-loving Griggs from Jellicoe Road. I want people like Jonah to exist. I want Jonah to be real. He's just words. I can't. If you've read Jellicoe Road or On the Jellicoe Road, the original title, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes when you're talking about book boyfriends, you're talking about real steaminess and all that, and it's not necessarily that with Jonah. It's full on butterflies, just non-stop with Jonah, but he's just a decent, solid guy, and I love him. And of course there's that slow reveal with his character, which always works, and you're not sure what his deal is and whether he's likable. Peeling away those layers and getting this really solid, well-developed, stand-up character, and just, he's Jonah Griggs, man. And speaking of the butterflies, definitely read From Daughter of the Forest. That is one of my favorite romances of all time. Even after many, many rereads, it still gives me butterflies in the exact same way. Normally you get used to things and, you know, your emotional reaction to it changes, but no, Red is butterflies all the way through. I love him, I love him, I love him. And again, really just solid stand-up guy. Taking it back again for a minute, definitely Tom Shaw from An Old-Fashioned Girl by Louisa May Alcott. This is another one from, you know, mid to late teens, maybe even earlier than that actually. Tom is flawed and Tom is a bit of a cad sometimes, but you can't help but love Tom. Or I can't anyway. He again is someone who just grows. He starts out kind of questionable and a little bit of an ass sometimes, and you know that there's this really good person there, and he finally just starts to let it out and be the Tom that you want him to be. Don't mean that in a I want to change my man type of way, but more like Tom has always been afraid to be a good guy that you know he can be, and he finally steps up, and that's admirable and you like it, but also he's just kind of adorable. I love Tom. This is gonna be really random. Stefan from the Mercy Thompson series. He's not even a romantic lead or romantic character in any way in the series, and I don't think he's ever intended to be. I don't know that he ever will be. I don't even know that you're supposed to see that side of him, but I love him so much. I want him to be both my book boyfriend and my book best friend. I really, really just, there's something about him. I just feel like we would gel, you know? He's a vampire that drives a van painted like the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine. He clearly has a good sense of humor about life, and that's a plus. And there's just something about him, you know? Some people just have it. He has it. And on a similar note, Constantine from Sunshine? Again, probably not one that should come off as appealing as he does, and maybe, you know, in real life, were I to meet someone like Constantine, it might just be creepy. But again, he just has that something, and you want to kind of get at whatever it is. Again, that's another butterfly one too. The heart wants what it wants. While we're on the topic of weird, let's just go straight for this one. Bear from Sun and Moon, Ice and Snow. He's a polar bear. So, okay, let me explain. It's always difficult in Beauty and the Beast stories, of which East of the Sun, West of the Moon is one. Any of those sort of transformed human tales where they're something beastly, you're never quite sure. There's an ick factor. Are you supposed to like this dude? I mean, he literally is a bear. I don't know that he should give you feels, but I mean, there are feels there. Bear is just a really good guy. He's a really good bear. I guess you kind of allow it because you know that he is a transformed human, or you're hoping, I guess, that he is a transformed human. But in the end, I don't think you really care because there's just something about him. Bear's kind of awesome. It all works, and I kind of had a crush on a bear. So, I guess maybe if you're a furry, we're not gonna go down that road. There are a couple on this list that I probably shouldn't like logically and just, you know, for self-preservation. Valak from the Poison Study series. He's, you know, kind of an assassin. Not necessarily a good guy, but there's something in him that actually is a really good guy. His morals are questionable, but he does definitely have his own moral code. It's just not everybody else's. He's fiercely loyal. He loves with all of himself, but he's definitely able to compartmentalize and still do not so great things. If you've read it, you probably have experienced this, but it's one of those situations where you're thinking, I shouldn't like this guy. I shouldn't like this relationship, but you do a lot. And eventually, you know, your faith in him not being horrible pays off. So on a similar note, I really shouldn't like Jericho Barons. I really should not like Jericho Barons. He's kind of a massive dick. Controlling, and he's aggressive, and he's so alpha. So very alpha for an alpha male, and they kind of irritate me. In real life, I'd be like, you are a tool, go away. In that intimidating voice, which would work. But again, there's just something about Barons, and he's another one that you have to kind of peel away the layers, and you know that there is a good guy in there, you know there's someone who, again, is fiercely loyal and will love with all of himself, but he'll also be an aggressive D-bag on the way. So I shouldn't have feels for Barons, but I do. And I think if you've read the Fever series, you do too. Tell the truth. Back to the realm of normal people though, definitely Ethan. Ethan Chavez, I want to say his name is, from Ostensibly Ordinary. I talked about Ethan in my review and how I wanted him to be real and to be mine. He's just kind of a total package. He's smart, he's fit, he's charming, he's funny, he's a little bit of an ass but in a playful way, and apparently he's mega hot. He's made of win. That's a pretty lengthy list, so I guess we'll go ahead and stop there. Maybe we'll have a part 2 at some point. Oh, no, we're not stopping there because Vessel's looking at me. What is the character's name? Corbin. Corbin from Vessel by Sarah Beth Durst. He is a trickster god. There's a little bit of that theme running through this book boyfriends list. They're not always on the up and up, but there's just something about them, and yeah, whatever. It is what it is. Corbin is attractive, he's funny, obviously because he's a trickster. He's playful, and I love that. He's intent, you know, I really like that too. When there's a sense of purpose and there's focus, definitely on the list. I think we'll go ahead and stop there because it's getting long. The list though, it really is endless. There are always new book boyfriends being added. I fall in and out of love with fictional characters with startling ease. And there's always a list of characters that are just rising in my estimation. Pretty much all of the guys from the Lunar Chronicle series, Vince Kai, Wolf, Carswell Thorne, and I'm guessing that guard is going to be on the list soon. Yeah, I love them. So they're working their way onto my book boyfriends list, definitely. I just recently talked about how I had a crush on an alien as a result of Tin Star by Cecil Castellucci, so, you know, it's an ever-growing list. Valentine from Secret. It's just many. I have scrolls full of their names. And that's one of the joys of reading. So many lives you live, so many book boyfriends you date and fantasize about, and, you know, fandoms and feels, and yay. So that is my compressed book boyfriend list for now. Let me know your book boyfriends or girlfriends or book aliens in the comments, or feel free to do your own book chat, blog, or vlog as a response. And if you do, definitely send me a link so I can come check it out. And if you have ideas for book chat, definitely let me know in the comments. I should mention Heather Demetrios, author of Something Real, has started a Book Boyfriends Facebook page, so if you have more to say, hop on over to Book Boyfriends on Facebook and share your favorites, your quotes, your thoughts, all that, and fangirl with us. But that is all for this book chat. Thanks for watching, thanks for chiming in and being awesome, and enjoy some bloopers because I'm sure there are gonna be some from this video because oh my. And that's all. Thanks for watching, happy reading. Shenanigans. A little couples therapy might work. Oh my. Okay. Oh my.